Hey guys, I thought I'd jump on here and give a quick review or share my first impressions of the Leica Q2. After one day of use, I was able to jump on my buddy Greg's wedding yesterday and test this out throughout the day. And I know some of you have expressed interest in this and are curious about it, and I figured that I would share some thoughts after one day. So first impressions, I think, are very important. You should know that the reason for my purchase was to replace this guy. And I think that I'll start by sharing how I use this and how I found myself using the Q2 yesterday. So this is the Fujifilm X100V, and this is a crop censored camera, and its sole purpose was to capture my motion images. So if you go to my Instagram or my website and you look at what's traditionally or typically black and white images with motion or some motion blur, it was captured on this, and I would just walk around with it around my neck like this, have it set to that particular setting, which was a 20th shutter speed, and let the camera do the rest of the thinking for, actually, no, I would set it to a 20th of shutter, set my ISO, and then adjust my aperture accordingly. So I was not afraid, excuse me, to go up to like f8 or f16 even if necessary in broad daylight to get the shot that I needed. What I found was that the images from this camera weren't matching up the way that I would have wanted to with my Fujifilm GFX. Mainly because it is a crop sensor camera, and I basically just outgrew this guy. And another friend of mine, Daniel Kim, suggested that I take a closer look at the Leica Q2. And upon doing some research, kind of came to the conclusion that this might be the one for me. So, there's a sticker shock with this, and it retails at $5,500 if you guys are interested in it. So I think, you're paying for the design, the quality, the Leica brand, and its history, but the excitement of pulling it out of the box, even the packaging is just amazing and beyond anything that I've ever held in my hand. But quickly, I want to say that this camera has created a new workflow for me. So it changed the way that I shot yesterday, where I was going in thinking this camera is here to strictly replace the 100V, and maybe my workflow wouldn't change and I would continue capturing these motion pictures. But that turned out not to be the case. I found that, I don't know if it's the Leica brand or just, I felt empowered, a lot more confident. The way that I approached my subjects throughout the day was unique and different in a way that I have never done so before. I think emboldened too. By the end of the day, people recognized me, guests recognized me, they recognized this camera, they knew what I was there for, they understood that I was getting candid moments, real moments, raw moments, fun moments, crazy moments, or with a little bit of communication or a look in the eye with the subjects, they knew that like to bring their A game with this camera. And I'll be able to share images of that soon. But again, that's very interesting for me. I think with my GFX, it's so big and so slow and it's so intimidating. People feel that pressure of wanting to perform for it. And of course, you see all my very beautiful portraits and just very stoic images and very Vogue-like and editorialness with that big camera. And with this, it's such an unassuming camera, and it's very inviting. I'm in your space when I want to get an up-close picture, and if I want to get a wide, I don't have to go too far back because of the 28mm focal length that this has. I'm not going to do a review on the camera and all its features. That's what Google's for, so you guys can go ahead and read that, Google it. There's a ton of YouTube videos out there for you, but again, I wanted to just talk about my first impressions. I will go ahead and talk about this hand grip though, that Daniel Kim suggested. And the 100V has this little bit of a grip here, which wasn't, it was great. And then I did buy a thumb grip for it, which helped a lot. And I could do this and, but with this, ergonomically, without it, it's not the best thing if you're not used to it. However, you know, so it's just flat. Your fingers are like this instead of being able to grip it like this. To hold it vertically, you're basically pinching it with your fingers, and then shooting the camera that way. However, I think what I'm gonna end up doing is returning this. I don't think I already processed the return. I am returning this grip. And the reason is because this camera is going to live right here, not over my shoulder, not across my body. I think this is the quickest way to get this camera up to my eye and capture something happening in front of me. So I won't be buying another strap. And because of that, because it's living up here, I think that I'll be okay without this grip. It is made in China, which was a surprise to me. I didn't know that Leica outsourced production to, you know, to other countries. I thought it was just Germany and Portugal, but apparently they do, and I can tell. Unfortunately, the quality is not the same. The build is not the same. Although flush here in the bottom, it is not flush up here in the vertical hand grip itself. There's a little bit of a wiggle and room for debris to get in there, which happened to me yesterday. And I don't like that. I don't like whether if I'm out in the rain and water gets in there or just gunk. Like, I just don't want to have to deal with that. It also has this like velvet material on the bottom, which people have raised concerns about possibly building up mold. I don't know. The other thing is that there are no access ports to the battery slot or the memory card slot, which requires you to remove this grip each and every time you have to swap batteries or insert a new card. The battery on this guy is rated for 350 pictures. I, however, was able to take more than that, and it did last me for the 7 hours of shooting. However, I was shooting very conservatively, and I do expect to be going through 2, possibly even 3 batteries on my own wedding day. I did order a battery last night. Hope that it arrives in time for next week's wedding. But those batteries are not cheap. So again, do a little bit of research and look at all the accessories and parts that you might want to look into, because this camera is not as accessible as, let's say, a 100V. So consider what your uses are, your purpose for it, how you're going to use it, how you shoot now. First impressions, again, is that I love this camera and I love how it made me shoot yesterday. I love the interactions that I had with the guests and the couple. I love the images. I haven't talked about the images at all, but again, it's a Leica camera and the sensor is just gorgeous and beautiful. If you go down to 1.7 and the images are just so sharp. So I love it. I love it. I love it. I hope that these things that I shared with you are insightful and of use. If you're interested in getting one of these, feel free to reach out to me and ask me any more questions. And that's it, guys. You'll see some images coming to my Instagram soon. That way you'll get a better feel for how I shot this camera. All right, thanks.